Oh my gosh, a second video in a day. Yes, that's because at about half past midnight on the 11th of May, I spotted a tweet that I thought was quite interesting and was potentially worthy of discussion because Leeds United could be seeing a hell of a lot of money leaving the coffers thanks to doing quite well this season so far. So, in this video, I'm going to run through what sort of similar payments we've been through last year, what exactly we're going to be paying out to who and why this year, and ultimately how it'll affect the way that we approach the transfer market, because it's a fairly big thing that we need to consider and work out and ultimately understand as fans before we all get a little bit too spooked. And this is using information that is found in Leeds United's accounts. This is basically from the club. So it's not the kind of thing that's sort of like, oh, well, various analysts think whatever is going to be due to be paid to whoever. No, this is the club saying that this amount of money needs paying in certain directions. So, to begin with, I'm going to talk through the payments that needed to be paid last year. And this is the amount of money that we paid based on getting promoted. So, specifically, the amount of money that we paid out to other clubs in terms of additions for fees, so like promotion bonuses, was about £9.5 million. So, in the event that we've signed Joe Rodon from Spurs and we've said, look, if we go up, have £1 million. That sort of general thing is what that entails. And in addition to that, we paid £19.2 million in promotion bonuses to the players. This will have been spread based on various players' contracts. There will have been a chunk that just goes to absolutely everyone and gets divvied out as a sort of big pot potentially. You'll also be paying various staff members, including Daniel Farker is the obvious one, but the rest of his coaching staff. Fitness coaches will likely get some as well, physios, all that kind of stuff. In essence, bonus season is going to be a financial boon for effectively everyone at the club, but it's going to leave the coffers running a little bit dry, and it's going to leave them running a little bit drier this year than it did when we got promoted. So the bonuses that we'll be paying out to Leeds United's players, hello babyhead, that we'll be paying out to Leeds United's players as a result of surviving this season, sum out to about £39.5 million, which is a hell of a lot. It's more than double what we paid when we got promoted, and you might look at that and think, holy, why are we paying that much? Until you consider the fact that a good few of the signings that we made were free. So if you have a look at Calvert-Lewin, if you have a look at Lucas Mecha, we basically paid nothing for transfer fees for them, which meant that we had a little bit of money saved in the back, and agents know that you get a little bit of money saved in the back when you get people on frees. Therefore, they're going to want bonuses for performing to a decent standard, and you've got to consider Dominic Calvert-Lewin will have a fairly chunky set of bonuses for scoring a good few goals, but it's potentially a case of, look, Calvert-Lewin, if you manage to keep us up this season, have £5 million. The numbers won't be specifically that, that's just me off top of head. But Calvert-Lewin and Mecha will have gotten additional bonuses based on the fact that we survived purely because we didn't pay anything to sign them in the first place. Obviously, signing fees and all that kind of stuff, but that's an aside. In addition to that, the likes of Gabby Goodmanson, Noah Okafor, Jacoby, all anyone that we signed this season with the idea of, okay, you're going to keep us up, the bonus goes in their direction. In addition to that, players get bonuses based on the positions that you finish in, so we're naturally going to be paying a higher bonus for 16th or 17th than we would 18th, 19th, or 20th. Players wouldn't get nothing if we finished in the bottom three, just because that's not how bonus systems tend to work in football. This is more a sort of an additional than money that just wouldn't have been paid in the first place, which is to cover off the sort of player bonuses side of things. In terms of fees, that is also a fairly significant chunk of money. So the amount that we paid in additional fees when we got promoted was, as I mentioned, £9.58 million, which was a decent chunk of cash. Future payments to other clubs as a result of staying in the Premier League sum out to £22.7 million, which makes sense when you think about the amount of business that we did. So a lot of the business that we did was a case of signing players for what looked like fairly low fees at the time. So the likes of James Justin at 10 million quid, for example, it turns out bargain. Gabby Goodmanson was, I believe, 15-ish. I think Stack was maybe 18, 19, something in that region. A lot of those will not just be a straight up have 18, 19 million pounds. It will be a case of 12 million pounds now, and then a series of bonuses and additional fees based on X, Y, or Z happening. Promotion, or not promotion, sorry, staying in the Premier League is an example of X or Y or Z, which means that obviously we're going to pay a decent chunk of fees. And a lot of people will come into this and go, oh, combine the two, that's £62.2 million that we're paying out to other clubs, to our own players. That's going to leave a fairly hefty dent in the finances, and you would think so, but I'm fairly confident that this was all accounted for, which means that we're still going to have a very, very decent budget in the summer. Do you remember the investor deck that was put out a good few months ago, was leaked by The Athletic, which was absolutely wonderful to see, that set out what the transfer budget was going to be both last summer and this summer and next summer. Last summer was about 100 million, this coming summer about 120 million. The one after that, I believe, said something like 80 million, but the idea is front load the recruitment into the first 2 years and then you should be okay. That was done with the understanding that this is what those contracts looked like. We knew that we would have these additional fees and the additional bonuses when that document came out. The club will have been planning to include that in various contracts, which means that they know that they're going to have to pay that, which means that the £120 million in the budget is still safe, is still sound, and importantly, the wage budget won't be affected either. I say importantly about the wage budget because there's this weird sort of, I've forgotten the word for it, correlation, that's the one, between a club's wage budget and its performance on the pitch. It's less transfer budget than it is wages, because obviously if you can pay players' wages consistently and you can pay for better players on a week-to-week basis, you'll perform better. Whereas if you get those players on a free, that's not going to show up on a transfer budget. The fact that we've been smart enough to sort of ring fence this 60 million quid, go, if we survive, we get a hell of a lot of money from the Premier League again, which is wonderful. But we can then use the rest of the funds for transfers and for wages and everything else that needs to be covered is very, very nice, is good planning from the 49ers, and again, a sign that the ownership is doing its job. A lot of people will see the size of the bonuses and all that kind of stuff and get a little bit spooked, but honestly, I think it's fine. I think we're in a good spot. We've survived, that's the thing that matters. It'll be easier to recruit players this coming summer, and we'll be heading very much in the right direction. I mean, we're still technically pushing for Europe, for God's sake. You never know how this season's going to end. But I'm feeling good about it, as much as £60 million will be leaving the club's bank account, which is terrifying. But it's terrifying in a controlled manner, so it's all okay. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there. I've been recording for 20 straight minutes now, so I'm running out of ideas, and I'm also tired, so I'm going to go to bed. Although you're seeing this at I think I'm scheduling it for 2 p.m, maybe 1 p.m. I don't know, we'll find out. Anyway, hope you enjoyed. I will see you all later. Toodaloo.